Hello, everyone, and welcome to our panel on non-traditional career paths in ORMS, hosted by Worms. We are so glad you could join us today. My name is İrem Sengel-Orgut, and I'm an associate professor of supply chain management at Loyola University Chicago, and I'll be moderating the panel today along with my other colleagues from Worms. So we have four fantastic panelists with us, a mix of industry and academia, who will share how their careers have taken paths outside the traditional route, from moving between sectors to stepping into leadership roles or exploring interdisciplinary work. So in terms of the flow for today, each panelist will start with a quick 5-minute overview of their journey. Then we will move into the panel discussion, and finally, we will leave time at the end for your questions. So our panelists will introduce themselves in more detail, but to kick things off, I'll start by reading a very short bio for each, taken from their website. Dr. Sadan Kulturel-Konak. Dr. Sadan Kulturel is a professor of management information systems at Penn State Berks. Dr. Kulturel's primary research focus is modeling, analysis, and optimization of complex systems using meta-heuristic approaches such as tabu search and genetic algorithms, combined with techniques from probability and operations research. Primary application areas of her research include facility layout, relayout, redundancy allocation, and scheduling. In addition, Dr. Kulturel has research on the participation of women in engineering and information technology programs and internationalizing the curriculum, building intercultural and interdisciplinary teams. Our next panelist is Dr. Alice Smith. Alice E. Smith is the Joe W. Forehand Jr. Distinguished Professor of the Industrial and Systems Engineering Department at Auburn University, where she served as department chair from 1999 to 2011. She also has a joint appointment with the Department of Computer Science and Software Engineering. Previously, she was on the faculty of the Department of Industrial Engineering at the University of Pittsburgh from 1991 to 1999, which she joined after industrial experience with Southwestern Bell Corporation. Dr. Smith has degrees from Rice University, BSc, St. Louis University, MBA, and Missouri University of Science and Technology, PhD, along with a recent BA in Spanish from Auburn University. She was elected to the National Academy of Engineering in 2025. Next panelist is Dr. Rachel Trana. Rachel Trana is a software engineering enthusiast and educator with over 15 years of academic and industry experience in the fields of computer science and mathematics. Her role as a senior engineering manager at Grainger combines her enthusiasm for learning and mentoring with her software development experience to empower software engineering teams to deliver high quality and innovative inventory management software. Rachel received her doctoral and master's degrees in applied mathematics from Northwestern University, with a focus on mathematical modeling and experimental electrophysiology in the hippocampus region of the brain. Within the technology field, she has worked as a software developer, consultant, and engineering manager. As an assistant professor, she focused on teaching software development coursework, research to improve undergraduate engagement and retention in STEM, and the use of machine learning techniques to investigate cyberbullying in social media platforms. And last but not least, our last panelist is Dr. Lili Zhang. Lili Zhang is a senior AI and machine learning engineer at Hewlett Packard Enterprise in the Marketing Analytics organization. She received her PhD in Analytics and Data Science from Kennesaw State University, MS in Industrial Engineering from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and BS in Electronic Information Science and Technology from Central South University. Her current research is focused on the combination of large language models, knowledge graph, imbalanced learning, and mathematical optimization through multi-agent AI systems. I'd like to welcome all of our panelists, and we will start by each panelist doing an introduction of themselves, specifically highlighting the key transitions they've made that reflect a non-traditional trajectory in their career. So let's see. We can start with the same order, alphabetical, that I did the introductions. So I'm going to share my screen. Some of our panelists have preferred to have slides. Some of them didn't. Either way is okay. So let's see. We will start with Dr. Kulturel-Konak, and I'm going to share your slides, and you can let me know when you would like me to move forward.
Sure.
Okay.
Maybe with the interest of time, I will start while you are sharing. So hello, everyone. I'm Sadan Kulturel-Konak, professor in the Division of Engineering, Business and Computing at Penn State Berks, where I also direct the Fleming Seed Center. My degrees are all in industrial engineering operations research. And over the years, I have held visiting positions at Cornell, Lehigh, and Chinese University of Hong Kong. Next slide, please. And I would say that my path has not been a straight line. I started with a traditional training in optimization and ORMS at Penn State Berks, which is an undergraduate only campus. Then I had to think differently about research and mentoring, finding ways to connect students to ORMS in interdisciplinary contexts. Over time, my role expanded. I became affiliate faculty with the IME department and IME department at University Park campus, and I took on leadership roles in engineering entrepreneurship and also pursued evidence-based pedagogical research supported by NSF. So in short, I would say that my career evolved into a blend, advancing methodology and innovating in how we teach and engage students. Next slide, please. So community outreach has been another defining part of my work. I have led service learning projects where students applied creativity in real world contexts, from K-12 workshops in Pennsylvania to programs in Nicaragua to like waste to value project in Kenya. These experiences broadened how my students and I see engineering and ORMS not just solving problems, but also empowering communities. Next slide, please. And maybe I would say what motivates me the most is student impact. I have seen them gain confidence, leadership, and even launch products like EV charging stations. I don't expect you to read those testimonials, but I put them there. Just it's really encouraging. Hearing students say research energized them and spark creativity reminds me of why this non-traditional path matters. It's about people as much as methods. Next slide, please, Hiram. And I would say that my research also reflects this philosophy to this point, focusing on using data analytics, modeling, and optimization to address problems with different societal impact. A recent example, I would say, is what we call FoodSee project, which optimize food bank operations to serve communities better. It's multidisciplinary, people-centered, and reinforced idea that research, teaching, and service work best together, not in silos. Next slide, please. I'm trying to finishing right now. Another significant part of my journey has been involving in professional societies. They have given me the space to connect research, teaching, and service in a synergistic way. They most importantly have provided mentorship, networks, and community that values diverse career paths. By the way, happy ISC Day coming on Monday, September 15. So for me, the non-traditional path is about finding balance and synergy across research, teaching, and service, supported by communities like these, or especially this one. Worms is a special place in my heart. And I'm looking forward to our discussion and learning how others have navigated their own paths.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kulturel-Konak. Let me move on to my next slides here. Okay, Dr. Rachel Trana. And let me swap these. Okay.
And thank you very much for having me today. I'm really excited to be a part of this group and this conversation. So my path has definitely been very nonlinear in terms of being in academia, being in industry. I started off getting my master's and my PhD in applied mathematics, and my focus was on computational neuroscience. And so when I was ABD, I decided to while writing my dissertation to go work for a consulting and software engineering consulting company. And so I joined them as a software engineer and a consultant, during which I traveled weekly for about 3 years. And during that time frame, I did manage to finish my thesis. And at the end of about 3 years of traveling, I took some time off and wanted to figure out what I wanted to do next. And during that time frame, I started teaching as an adjunct faculty member in the computer science department, because I had started to realize how much I truly enjoyed computer science and engineering, and kind of the interplay between that and mathematics. And so as I taught, I picked up some research and eventually moved into an assistant professor position at Northeastern Illinois University. And I focused on research in cyberbullying. I focused on diversity and retention within STEM. And then as it so happens, I started to get a little antsy, and I am interested in thinking about what's changing in the technology world. And so I briefly joined a company called Aquatic Capital for a short period of time. Did a little work in high frequency trading, the software engineering side of things, and then came back. So you'll see some funny overlaps here in my timeframes, because I did this while I was also teaching, and then I came back and eventually received tenure. And then I got antsy again, and to everyone's surprise, left tenure and left the university, and I went to work at Grainger. And this is how I moved into the kind of the inventory management side of things. As an engineering manager, I started overseeing one team to begin with of software engineers in Grainger's KeepStock, what we call their KeepStock inventory management area. And within about a year, I moved into a senior engineering manager role. And now I work with 4 teams and have an engineering manager that reports to me. And I partner quite frequently with what we call our operations research and optimization teams to be able to bring back the work that they're doing to the software engineers and to embed it in our platform. And so I love the collaboration. I serve as a kind of a translation between mathematics and engineering to kind of get the unique models into our system. And part of me, I look for ways to be able to coach and mentor within engineering in my current role. But I also have really enjoyed the challenges that moving back into software engineering has brought. There's lots of rapid advances, and this has really served to keep me kind of engaged and up to date in new technologies.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Chana. And let's see, Dr. Lili Zhang.
Oh, yes.
It does this. Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lili Zhang. I'm currently a senior AI and machine learning engineer at Hewlett Packard. As other panelists have introduced, I also have been actively involved in all communities like Informs and also my own PhD university, Kansas State University, and also Technology Association at Georgia. So by living in this community and also working in Hewlett Packard Enterprise, I have built my non-traditional trajectories, which is mostly related about interdisciplinary work. I have worked on problems in different fields using all these different technologies like knowledge graph, mathematical optimization, and balanced learning, time series analysis, text analysis, and also the most recent one, data science agentic, which is about the combination of large language model and also the data science approaches. So a few examples of the areas I have been working in, including marketing, which is currently the department I'm working in, and we solve all the problems about the marketing, about the customer, and also the recommendations and so on. And prior to that, I also worked on the problems in the financial area, like any money laundering detection and low delinquency prediction. And also I have worked on in the energy industry, like the electricity generator self-scheduling and also electricity load forecast. In addition to that, there are also a few other areas like network threat detection, service contract win back, product document, marketing service, and also invoice analytics and so on. So my growth and my career paths are really driven by the problems I am given. I like talking to people, all people in all levels from all places. I like to talk to my peers, my managers, the directors, even the C-levels. If I have a chance, I would like to know their problems, what they are interested in, and I always try to think about it, how I can use my knowledge and skills to help you solve your problem. So I think it's really beneficial for me and also the people I have been talking to. One example is that recently I got a volunteer project in a different organization, which is about the operations while I'm in the marketing. So the interdisciplinary work is encouraged in Hewlett Packard Enterprise. I believe it's also encouraged across different organizations. So I really encourage everyone to pursue solving problems in different domains. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zhang. And I'm going to stop sharing. So Dr. Alice Smith can also introduce herself.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Alice Smith. I didn't get to make slides, sorry. It's just a very busy time of year. Yeah, so my degrees are quite diverse, as was introduced. And so I started out in civil engineering. I never anticipated going into graduate school. Well, I did look into it, but I decided I wanted to make some money. And I worked in telecommunications, just randomly kind of, instead of civil engineering. So I got more into electrical engineering and computing. And I didn't intend to go to academia, so I got an MBA at night school while I was working, which was really good for me. I really enjoyed my studies. But once I graduated with that, I missed being in school. And I was like, oh, I want to go back to school and maybe I want to live at school. So I decided to abandon my career in industry and go back to being a poor, broke student. And I was a place-bound student, so I went to a department that was very flexible in terms of what you studied for the degree. Technically, the department was still called Department of Engineering Management, but my professor and what I studied was more in systems engineering and industrial engineering. So I graduated and got a job at an industrial engineering department. So even though technically I don't have an industrial engineering degree. And I've, you know, had a good career in research and teaching since then at 2 different universities. I also worked, as was introduced, for 12 years in administration. Again, I thought, oh, I'm a good department chair and I really enjoyed it. So I thought I'll be a dean and then I'll, devote myself to administration. So I interviewed for a lot of dean's positions and I had a couple offers and I had to make a decision whether to go full-time to administration, which meant I would abandon teaching and working with my graduate students and research. And it was a really hard decision to make. But ultimately, I decided I got into academia because of working with students and especially. So I decided not to pursue administration and to make my career as a professor only. So that's been good. I had to give up money again. I seem to have that habit, but money is good, but it's certainly far from everything. And I don't judge my worth based on my salary. I judge it based on how I feel about myself and my place in the world. And so I did that. And one thing I wanted to do as a professor and not administrator anymore was to live abroad and have more experience internationally. So I started working with the Fulbright Foundation, which is funded by the US government and provides funds for US people to go abroad and for people abroad to come to the US in academia. So I ended up getting 4 Fulbright fellowships, kind of a lot, but it allowed me to in a number of countries and work in a number of countries and make a lot of contacts. And that's been super enriching to me is all of the international collaborations, both professionally and as a person. So that's been a great joy. The other thing I wanted to do was to get involved more professionally with professional organizations such as Informs. And so I made an intention to do that. And again, that's been kind of a long path, but it's been full of interesting interactions with people and abilities to contribute in different ways. And both of these, I think, have really, even though I wasn't looking for them to quote, advance my career, but they did because you meet people, you fulfill roles, you grow both professionally and as a person. So that's been, really good. I don't make a plan. I'm not a planning person. So I just kind of see what seems best for me of opportunities or people I want to work with. And I'm a big believer in trying things. I don't hesitate too much because it's like, well, if it doesn't work out, oh well, it's not the end of the world. So I have a pretty relaxed attitude about that. Unfortunately, I have a problem saying no because of that attitude as a research omnivore and wanting to contribute in all different ways. And so I tend to get overloaded, which I'm feeling right now. Like, why do I keep saying yes to everything? Well, it's because it all sounds wonderful and trying to manage my time, which I'm pretty good at. I'm good at that, but still, when I do something, I want to do it really well. So that does create some stress in my life. I don't want to let people down. So it's been, yeah, nonlinear in a lot of different ways. And I think for me, that's been good. When I first started, one other thing, I know I'm rambling a little bit, but when I first started as an assistant professor, I liked all sorts of different research. That's why I tell people I'm a research omnivore. And some of the more senior faculty who are, very well intentioned, of course, they said, well, that's not the traditional way to build a career in academia if you want to be, quote, famous or, advance as a scholar. You become the expert in something. And that's true, that if you look at most of the, quote, important people in our field, and in academics, that's what they've done, and they've done it exceptionally well. But that didn't feel right for me. So I just decided to just keep following my own path. And I think it worked out in the end that that people could recognize that even though the body of work was is diverse, that there was still recognizable contributions and sometimes even importance. So that's been my path so far. I'm still on it and looking forward to what's coming next. I'm actually changing affiliations at the end of the calendar year, which is super scary because it's been a long time, but it's like, well, how bad can it be? It's a new chance to contribute and work with some new people. So we'll see where that leads me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Smith. The difficulty with saying no to a lot of things, I think that's something a lot of us can relate to. All right, so we will move on to our questions that I'm going to ask our panelists. But I just wanted to note for our audience, please feel free to submit your questions using the, I believe it's the Q&A box, and my colleagues can correct me if I'm wrong, but using the Q&A box, you can submit your questions throughout the panel, and we will try to get to as many of them towards the end of the panel. All right. So the first question is, what motivated you to take a career path that differed from the traditional OR/MS trajectory? Can you share a turning point or pivotal moment that led you to make a major career transition? And some of our panelists already touched upon this when they're doing introductions, but if there's anything that anyone wants to add for this.
Yeah, I can share one additional point, one more detail. So actually, I was working in Hong Kong for a research associate for a Hong Kong government project on cloud computing before I started my PhD study in data science. So you know that from cloud computing to data science, it was a big gap back to that time. I think it's around 2015. But I was really driven by my love for the data. So the cloud computing is only the platform that hosts the data, but I want to analyze the data. I want to get the insights of the data. If the data is just sitting there, we don't do any analysis on that, it has no value. So that motivated me to pursue a PhD degree in data science, go back to academic and go to do deeper research on data science. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Anyone else who wants to add? All right, I'll move on to our next question. I think this one is really interesting. So we were wondering, so what challenges did you face when making these transitions? So transitioning between academia and industry, or between different topic areas in your research, or vice versa, taking on a leadership or an administrative role, or again, going back to your typical faculty role. So what types of challenges did you face, and how did you overcome them?
I'd love to chime in here because I've bounced back and forth between academia and industry quite a bit. And each time I've done it, it has come with a different type of challenge. For example, the first time I did it and I went into software engineering, I had no background in computer science or software engineering. I was mostly a mathematics person who did some like ad hoc functional programming. And so this was very different because I went from kind of having all of my own time, scheduled how I wanted my own time, working whenever I wanted, basically all throughout the day or in the evening or in the mornings, kind of leaving to go do things, to having a very set schedule of you need to be at a client site at this time. This is kind of your focus for your work. This is the expectations here, and it was very, very structured compared to like how I had planned my time previously. In addition, I had to pick up a whole new field. So I felt like, at least for the first year, I was like, I'm just drowning all the time. I'm just drowning, trying to keep my head above water. And then eventually it got better, right? Eventually I was like, I can do this. I can do this. And then I got tired of like not having my own time again, and kind of missing the interaction that I'd had when I was teaching previously as a PhD student. But it felt very overwhelming to try to think about going back into academia without having done research for 3+ years. And also being interested in a completely different field than what I got my PhD in. I wanted to go into computer science. And so, teaching as an adjunct faculty member kind of got my foot in the door, so to speak, of like, oh, I'm teaching again, I'm doing this, is this what I really want to do? Um, and uh, and then I started working with other faculty members and picking up the research again and kind of building that platform out. And then switching back once again, the technology had changed quite a bit in the time between when I left and went to academia and then when I came back. So like again, when I switched out, it was, oh my gosh, all these things have changed. I have to learn everything. We have microservices, we have cloud computing, we have, we have ML, we have AI, we have all these different ways of working. And so again, for the first year, it felt like I was like drowning. It was like the same feeling. And so happily the second time around, I was like, this is okay. I drowned before, I can do it again. And eventually I'll come up from it. So I think like the big takeaway for me was that it will always feel overwhelming a little bit every time you make that switch. Even if it's not like a huge drastic switch, it will feel a little bit overwhelming. And then you just kind of have to kind of float and paddle along and pick up pieces as you can go, and it gets better.
That's great. I also spent a little bit of time in industry, so I can certainly understand how that feels. So any of our other panelists who want to chime in on this one? All right, so if not, I'll move on to our next question. So this one's about your support, right? So what role have mentors, networks, or professional organizations like Informs or Worms played in shaping your career path? Some of our panelists already mentioned participating in Worms or Informs in general, but what type of support did you get from these organizations? And what did you think? What was the role that they played when you were making these transitions?
I can share first. So I got my job from Inform's career fair. So I think the career fair from Informs is extremely important and helpful, not only for students who are looking for jobs, but also for people who are looking for changing their jobs. I have met a few senior members in Informs, and they want to change their career, from academic to industry, or look at different positions and stay in academic or industry. I think the career fair in Informs is really, really helpful. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Maybe I can also step into that question too. I would say that mentors and societies like Worms have been crucial in my career, because also, like Alice mentioned, I am fearless to stepping into like new areas, such as the world of innovation, such as my recent research areas like menu optimization or food bank research, but they all come with some dues, right? So best reason. I guess I would say that my professional organizations provided not only that professional opportunities that have given to all of us, but also community where like this non-traditional work is valued, even like coming up with collaborators, you know, those are not far from you when you build your network through those societies. So this support system helped me navigate uncertainty and take the risk, if you will.
That's great. Very interesting. And I do have one, I don't want to put Dr. Trana on the spot, but I do have a question related to her for this one as well. So Dr. Trana, since you switched back and forth several times, do you think these organizations like Informs, for example, being a part of it, going to attending the conferences, how do you think that helped with those transitions? Or did you not utilize the organizations in that sense?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I didn't necessarily use an organization per se, but what I did use was my network. And I think network, whether it's an organization, people that you've worked with in the past, that forms the kind of the lattice that allows you to make these transitions. So when I moved the second time back into engineering as an engineering manager, I did so through a Slack community that I was a part of from when I had worked as a software engineer. And one of the people that I worked with previously, I said, hey, I'm considering this thing. I'm considering this transition. You're hiring for this position. Do you think this is a good fit? And can we talk about it a little bit more? And from there, I went through the whole interview process and was hired. When I moved back into academia, it was actually again through a similar networking of a former colleague from grad school who said, hey, you know what? I see you're taking a break. Computer science department is looking for people to teach. And are you interested? And again, I went and talked. And so I think, you know, having a network through organizations or through previous colleagues allows you to think about the not so straightforward moves that you might want to make. I think it's essential.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So I feel like there's this theme that's emerging about being more fearless, taking risks, following our passion, but knowing that the importance of our network and our organizations has a big role in making those transitions, and knowing that it could feel a little overwhelming at first. So thank you for all of your thoughts. All right, I will move on to our next question. So this is on the other end. So how did you handle skepticism or pushback from peers or supervisors when pursuing a less conventional role? So this could be switching, maybe Dr. Smith can chime in, switching from a faculty role to administrative role, or vice versa, because being a chair is very different than being a faculty. So switching back could get some pushback. So, and also in terms of different research streams. So I think several of our panelists can chime in on that. So did you ever get any pushback in terms of, and one thing Dr. Smith mentioned was, for example, just focus on one thing when you're an assistant professor, just do one thing and do that well versus trying different things. So that was something similar. But any others, any things that you got skepticism or pushback for, and how did you manage that?
Hi, this is Alice. So since you cited me here, I'll open it up. I think, again, you have to do what you feel is right for you as a person. I personally don't like people telling me what to do. I've always hated it. Even my parents, I'm like, don't tell me what to do. And I think that's a reason I ended up in academia. I do listen to people and I'm thoughtful, but ultimately I want to forge my own path, what I think is right for me. So I think some of that is just confidence So what I see is a lot of, especially women, faculty members and professionals lack confidence in their place and their role, their abilities. And I never felt that so much. Because I was always felt like, well, if I don't do so well, I'll do something else. I always felt confident no matter what happened, I could still earn enough that I could eat and have a roof over my head. But I think it's important not to let criticism or what you perceive as criticism or pushback affect you negatively. And I've seen this with too many, especially earlier career women, that it really hurts their career progress and their personal happiness when they feel unappreciated or criticized. And I think in some sense, you have to get a quote thick skin. You have to realize that, people have different opinions. They don't know you as well as you know yourself. And ultimately, you are the decider, at least to a large degree, of how your life is going to play out. And yes, you're going to make mistakes, but you know what? You learn from mistakes and you grow from mistakes. And in fact, you learn and grow more from mistakes than you do from successes. So there's always something good that can come out, even if they're painful at the time. So, I think it's just cultivating your own sense of identity. And as I know, I'm much more senior to the other panelists, it really comes as you get more senior. You feel like, I am who I am. That doesn't mean I'm not changing. I am. I learn and change every day, but I'm okay with that. I don't feel like I need to fit in someone else's mold. So naturally it will occur too, but I think you have to also somehow give yourself what I would say a pep talk, like, yeah, it's okay. You're good. What you do is good, and it's going to ultimately work out to be the right path, even if you take a few detours or steps backwards. So I think it's good to listen to people, and to seek out advice of those that you respect. But it's also okay to choose a different way.
Thank you so much. Yes. So getting advice is important, but with a grain of salt, I guess. All right.
There is a question from audience
Okay. Yes.
that they ask about motherhood and motherhood responsibilities, having all these non-traditional path. Yeah, if you can even share with us your experience, that would be great. Thank you.
So Sarah, again, the question is, let me see.
The question is about the motherhood and motherhood responsibility, having all these different career paths. I mean, I would say different mindset, because it's really non-traditional.
Okay. I see.
So I'll jump in first with that, because I've gotten that question a fair amount in my career. And the question that drives me the craziest from women faculty or assistant professors or PhD students, well, should I have my child or children before or after tenure? And I say, I don't even want to hear this question. Do whatever's right for your life. Don't think about tenure as this determinant of your big other decisions. Tenure is a byproduct of having a good career. It's not a goal in of itself or a thing of itself. So I have 3 children. I had my daughter when I was quite young, and then 2 boys. I had both boys while I was a PhD student, not ideal planning because I had no time and no money. But so when I got my first job as an assistant professor, I had 3 young children, and the youngest was 8 months old, something like that. I don't remember. But yeah, I mean, it's just you always find a way to manage life. You can't do everything well. I mean, definitely I felt motherhood guilt for missing things. My kids still give me a hard time, like, Mom, you always fed us macaroni and cheese and frozen stuff. Actually, we couldn't usually afford frozen stuff, but it was usually packaged stuff, hamburger helper, tuna helper. And there's a lot of truth to that, but you know what? They survived, and they're all professionals now and doing well. I guess the point is, you can't do everything perfectly, and that's okay. And just to do, again, what feels right with you. I think it's perfectly congruent to have children while you're a student, while you're a young professional. In my research team, I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's right. 4 of my PhD students have children. Some are single parents, some have partners. And, once in a while they'll pull this, well, I'm different. I have my young son at home. And I'm like, yeah, sorry, that doesn't work well with me. Yes, I'm sympathetic, but I also know you can be a good student too. And I hope that I serve but as a role model, but also as an enabler for them to see, and as a challenger in terms of, yeah, it's okay. You can, fit it all in. So anyways, I think definitely you should not think of life, especially in academia, as like being a mutually exclusive to being a parent, or that there's this magic time that suddenly, oh, okay, I can be a parent now. No, life doesn't work like that. And it all happens, and your kids will be the better for it.
Thank you so much. That's very interesting. And I actually, just to chime in on the same thing, because I also got that advice, wait until you get tenure to have kids. And I did not follow that. And one thing I noticed after I had kids was I became much more productive than before, because now I knew that I had limited time and I had to use it very efficiently. So I really noticed that I completely changed after I had kids. So I think it comes with pros as well. Anyone else? Dr. Kulturel-Konak.
Plus your kids have good role models right now. So
Absolutely.
that's
Yes.
important as well. They see that how you have done, and it's a good role model. What else can be better?
Exactly. And they grow up seeing that. So I also think that it's great.
Yeah, just like Professor Smith, I also had my son when I was the second year PhD student. By being a mom, I have become more tougher and more responsibility and more productive. So back to your last question about the pushbacks, I got lots of pushbacks from my peers and managers in the past year. The more reason is that I tried to use the large language model to combine knowledge graph and try it out on some existing problem and data. You know that it was a very new technology back to the time point last year. And for the business, it was risky to try some new methodologies. So I got lots of pushback at the very beginning, but what I did was to try out my method on some open source data and starting from there. Luckily, I got my abstract accepted in the Informs annual meeting last year, and I presented it, and a professor from New York University was very interested in my work, and we continued to work on it together, and eventually we put a paper together. So we are still working on that. I think there is always a chance to get pushback, but that doesn't influence us to do the good job, continue the path. There is always a way for us to continue the good work that we believe. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Do we have any other questions, Sarah? Not yet, right? Okay. All right.
No, we don't have anything. I think most of the questions have been answered fully, and thank you so much.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so my next question is, so if the field of ORMS better recognized and valued non-traditional career paths, what would change about how we train and mentor the next generation, if anything? Or in other words, do you think our field is currently training our students, the younger professionals, well, to be prepared for these types of transitions? If not, can you think of anything that we should change in terms of how we prepare them?
Oh, I can share. Yeah, go ahead.
No, please go ahead, Lili.
Yeah, because I have been working with some young students in the Infos mentorship program, and I think one challenge they have faced is finding jobs because the job market is so tough. The most recent mentee I have worked with is from UC Davos, which is a great university, and he got his master degree in business analytics just 2 months ago. But he says that he submitted hundreds of resumes but didn't get any interview. So the job market is so tough at some point for the data scientists or the operations researchers at the junior level. I think from the training perspective, at least from the industry perspective, I think the most important part is to get the students or the most recent graduate trained to work on some specific problems. They have very good knowledge about the logistic regression, decision tree, and also machine learning algorithms, but the application part to solve a really problem, go deeper to really solve a problem, show the business value. That's the part that most students don't have. If they can really show that they have used a technique they learned from school to really solve a problem, even it is open source problem, it can give the confidence to the interviewers or the and it also gives them some more opportunities to let others talk to them. So they will have some topics to talk about the values of their projects. So that's just some of my thoughts. Professor Kulturel-Konak, sorry for interrupting you.
No problem. I mean, almost we had same things to say. I would say that more of the panels like this, speaking these kind of things more like widely will help. New generation should hear them and how the successful models, like we had so many successes we heard today. So how they have done is helpful, definitely. That's the reason I love WORM's mentoring programs. Hearing from the horse's mouth always help.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. For those of you who
add on
don't
to
know,
this.
WORMS. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say WORMS has a mentoring program where we match mentors with mentees. So you are welcome. I believe our announcements, well, it's a year-long program, but for the Informs meeting, I believe they will come out very soon. So just to mention that. Please go ahead, Dr. Trana. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to add on that I think there are some changes that we could look at from and like a leadership position in academia and an industry that would make these non-traditional pathways easier to navigate if we open them up more fully. So for example, what does it look like outside of a sabbatical to have a faculty member go and work in industry for a year or two, and vice versa, to come back in without having done research while they were in industry, to come back in and to bring back the value in both cases that they learn, right? I think that would make it easier to navigate, and it would also it would keep both academia and industry up to date with the latest changes in both areas, which I think is extremely valuable.
That's a great idea, I think. All right. We are almost out of time. We do have one last. Oh no, it was answered. Okay, never mind. So 2 minutes. If anyone has any last minute sort of suggestions, recommendations for anyone who might be considering the types of transitions we talked about today within academia, within industry, between different topics, administrative, and so on. So all of those transitions, any recommendations that our panelists have, I would appreciate just one sentence recommendations.
I would say finding synergies among research, teaching, service, community engagement, that has helped me a lot.
Great, thank you.
This is Alice. I would say keep an open mind. Be open to opportunities and pathways, even if they weren't in your plan or on your radar. And, consider things that take you on a little bit of a left or right turn from what you regarded as your path. So just stay open, stay flexible.
Great.
I would say just try it. You will learn something regardless of what happens, and it will help inform your next set of decisions and your next set of steps.
I will say, whenever you are given a problem, big or small, put your whole heart to solve it. You may find a new word in there.
Great. Thank you all so much for sharing your insights. This has been extremely valuable. We really appreciate. I believe we had a question maybe that we didn't get to, but I'll make sure that question gets to our panelists. Thanks everyone. Thank you so much to our panelists, and thank you to WARMS for organizing this, and to our audience for joining. And
Thank you.
Great rest of your day and your
Thank you.
weekend.
Thank you, Iram. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.